You click this video, which tells me you're a 49ers fan, and boy, do I have news for you, 49ers fans, some enticing news I can't wait to get to in this video. We will do that in just a second, but before we do that, something really exciting came out. I want to show you that first, which is this. ESPN's FPI puts the 49ers at third best chance or third best odds to make the playoffs in the National Football Conference. My goodness, that sounds really good, doesn't it? Now, this might not be the enticing news you're waiting for, and that's okay. Stick around because I'm going to get to that, but just a quick note on this reality. Before we jump ahead, we've got to talk about this because the 49ers, of course, in this ranking come ahead of even the Los Angeles Rams, who is the team that, kind of right now the 49ers and the Rams kind of are vying for position in who has the best chances to win the division and, go to the playoffs, all that stuff. The bottom line is this is pretty awesome, and this is the kind of stuff I want to be hearing. Now, of course, FBI does take into account the schedule, so we'll take this with a little bit of a grain of salt, but it is a good sign. Another thing that came out today that I wanted to get to real quick was Bill Barnwell's ESPN post on the biggest offseason addition for the 49ers, not being a player, but being a coach. And this one I actually completely agree with. I think the most valuable pickup of the offseason so far has most definitely been Robert Saleh. Now, will he have the longest standing impact? When you think about drafting a guy like Michael Williams, if he turned out to be the player we hope that he's going to be, no, maybe Robert Saleh is only around for a couple of years, and we'll see what happens after that. Gus Bradley, I don't know. We'll see what happens when that day comes. Right now, I'm excited about Robert Saleh being here, and I agree with the article that he is the biggest impact. The biggest addition for the 49ers, writes Bill Barnwell, might have come off the field. Robert Saleh was widely heralded as one of the league's best defensive coaches when he left San Francisco to take over as a head coach of the Jets, while DeMeco Ryans did an admirable job behind Saleh before landing the Texans head coaching job. Steve Wilkes and Nick Sorensen were one and done in back-to-back seasons. It's telling the Jets defense fell apart immediately after Saleh was fired last season. Saleh's calling card in his time in San Francisco and New York was getting more out of players than anyone expected. That I just wanted to talk about for a second, because when you look at what the 49ers have done, the number of players the 49ers have brought in, like Chaz, just yesterday, like the number of players the 49ers have brought in that are like special teams players that could also potentially be backup players, like that's the 49ers. That's Robert Saleh, I think, and not Gus Bradley. That's Robert Saleh, and that's Brant Boyer, figuring out how to get their guys, but getting guys that can hopefully benefit both sides, because you kind of have to be able to do a job in other parts too. You can't just be special teamer unless you're Jake Moody. For now, we'll wait and see. But anyway, the point is, if Robert Saleh continues to do this, I think this is fantastic for the 49ers, and I agree that this is a huge, huge value add for the 49ers. He's going and getting some of his guys that may not look like, the top-of-the-line free agents, but if they turn up and they are able to turn out for the 49ers, then it's going to be way, way worth it. Absolutely worth it. Having shed salary and talent on defense this offseason, the 49ers need Saleh to work his magic quickly and make the most out of the players around Bosa and Warner. Lynch used all 4 of his top 100 picks on defensive players, and Saleh will be expected to integrate them into the lineup, with the most important addition being Toolsy, first-round pick Michael Williams at edge, veteran defensive backs Trey Brown and Richie Grant could be occasional starters elsewhere, might be called on for regular snaps. The difference between retooling and rebuilding is that while doing the former, a team expects to continue contending. The 49ers can't afford to take a year off with so many of their core players approaching or past 30 years old, and they'll look to a pair of NFC rivals for hope, and then just list a bunch of teams that had situations where they came out better than you would expect them to, listing the Eagles, listing the Rams. Maybe that was the only 2 teams that were on there. But whatever the case, we can hope for that, of course. Let's get to OTA notes. Now, I do have some video coming later, so stick around for that if you want to get some footage. If you haven't had a chance to see the footage that's, popping around on the social medias, then, stick around for that. But firstly, I wanted to provide just a few updates per Matt Barros' Athletic article. I will have to remember to link that in the show notes. Comment at me if I forget to do that. But let's talk first about what Matt Barrows said in his article, because I think he's got a lot of really good stuff, and then I'll play some highlights while I finish telling you about some updates from camp today, I did it again, from OTAs. We need a camp counter, because I keep saying camp. It's not training camp yet, but it just feels so good, but it's only May. Okay, Christian McCaffrey looked electric on one of his runs Thursday, one where he hopped through the line of scrimmage before accelerating past the linebackers and bursting up the middle of the field. The run was evidence that McCaffrey, who missed the bulk of 2024 season with Achilles and knee injuries, is back at full strength and looking more like 2023 self, and it seemed symbolic of the extra pep the San Francisco 49ers seem to have this spring. Shanahan said this: I thought the coolest thing was everyone being there on the first day, and we had every guy show up. I didn't have to call anyone and beg them, which says a lot. Talking about the very, very beginning, April 22nd, I believe that was. While the majority of the players were in the building, not everyone was on the field. Some like Brandon Aiyuk, Malik Mustafa, rookie defensive tackle Alfred Collins, rookie quarterback Curtis Rourke, and safety Marquise Siegel are recovering from injuries. Also noted, I don't think I screenshotted this particular part, but if you didn't know yet, Trent Williams has been spotted multiple times back in Houston. He's in Houston right now. He's not here in the Bay Area. However, he did show up at the beginning along with everybody else. So there's something to that, all right? Just hold on to that for a second. Shanahan also said Jair Brown had ankle surgery this offseason, wouldn't be ready until training camp. And then Ricky Pearsall tweaked a hamstring and will miss a couple of weeks. Pearsall, who changed his number from 14 to 1, also missed a portion of last year's training camp with the hamstring issue, if you remember that. And then defensive end Yetur Gross-Matos is away for the birth of his child. So Ricky Pearsall dealing with a little bit of a hamstring thing. He was there. He was at the practice. He was on the sideline. Just wasn't participating fully or able to participate fully. Participating fully, however, the top three wide receivers were Jennings, DeMarcus Robinson, and Jacob Cowing. Let's go. That's the kind of stuff I want to hear. I need to see Jacob Cowing develop. I need to see his best opportunity, the best opportunity given to him in this preseason. I want to see the best we can get out of him. I'm really excited about Jacob Cowing, and I'm really hoping he turns out. Here's that footage from the San Francisco 49ers that they posted today from camp. While I continue to go through here and tell you some more updates from Matt Barrows. So receiver who was already at full speed, Juwan Jennings, as was in the case of 2024. He was Brock Purdy's favorite wide receiver targeted Thursday. George Kittle was asked about Juwan Jennings. He said Juwan is still on fire, which is really fun to see. Let's see, some other guys that stood out. Michael Williams was a standout size-wise. I also have some footage here from David Lombardi. Posted some of this on social media, posted a video about it as well. I'm going to link the video in the show notes. Do not let me forget to do that. If I forget, please comment at me because I want to make sure I give credit where credit is due. You should watch David Lombardi's full video if you want to hear more about what he had to say, but I definitely appreciated him posting all of these highlights out there on the internet for us all to appreciate and to see and to catch these players. But here's more from Matt Barrows. The rookies are very much in learning mode at this stage and didn't have many prominent roles in Thursday practice. The exception was fourth-round receiver Jordan Watkins, who turned a lot of heads. He caught 3 passes, 2 from Purdy in the practice. Watkins looked as fast and fluid as advertised, with his first catch from Purdy resulting in big gain down the middle of the field. I only watched one highlight or one aspect of footage on Jordan Watkins, but it actually reminded me of Ricky Pearsall in the kind of the crispness of his routes and the technical nature in the way that he runs his routes. So that's kind of exciting to see. Definitely a different size from Ricky Pearsall, not quite the same lengthy or lanky kind of size there. Look at this pass from Purdy. Boy, that always feels good, doesn't it? There's Jordan James there on the screen there. With Trent Williams absent, Spencer Burford lined up at left tackle. Ben Barch was the first man up at left guard, although Nick Zakelj also took a few reps there with the first-team offensive line. Recently signed tackle Andre Dillard did not take part in practice today, which is something we should also point out there. Let's see. Was there anything else? That was kind of those were the main things. So big takeaways for the 49ers. Of course, there were also, I think you could see it on the screen, Morstead was there. And so there's the whole special teams unit. And you've got Jake Moody in this competition with Greg Joseph. This is going to be really interesting to watch. Obviously, no decisions are going to be made. I don't think anyway. Any decisions are going to be made during OTAs, so we'll probably get a chance to see this competition go all the way into camp. I would expect as much anyway. We'll have to wait and see. But this is going to be an interesting one for sure, and it'll be interesting to see if Jake Moody's adjustments going from 3 steps to 2 steps will have an impact as a guy who played a lot of years of soccer, coached soccer for over a decade. Just from the way that you approach kicking the ball, I'm a little concerned that he's making as big of a shift as going from 3-step to 2-step. Like like in my head, it bothers me a little bit that this guy went all the way through college and into the NFL for a couple of seasons not doing that. And then it makes me question, was it the injury then? Because if it was the injury, you wouldn't change your form, right? If you change your form, that tells me that you're not happy with what your form is providing, and that tells me it's not injury related. Or perhaps there's an injury caused need for change, but that's not the way you described it. It kind of sounded more like an accuracy versus power thing. So we'll have to wait and see how it all plays out. Of course, it's going to be so much. There's going to be so much interesting storylines, so many storylines that we're going to have to cover. We're going to have to follow because this is going to be a wild training camp. There's going to be some big names that are going to be left off that list, and we'll have to wait and see how it goes. Of course, I don't even know why I'm showing this because I should probably move it to like phase 4, which is, basically training camp, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know. It's a ways away from now, so we don't need to worry about that at the exact moment. All I can say is, like, Christian McCaffrey looking good. That's great. Brock Purdy throwing to Juwan Jennings. That felt good. Everybody out there, the vibe of everybody being out there minus Trent Williams and a few injured guys, that's great too. So I'm really, really hyped on how different the vibes are. I'm really hyped on how different the energy is around this football team right now in May compared to last year in this time. And you have so many big name players that were not at OTAs, and they're voluntary, so like I get it. But then you hear Kyle Shanahan talking after, and we'll have a lot more on that hopefully tomorrow. But Kyle Shanahan talking about how it was nice to not have to ask everybody to come and not have to call people and explain to them why it's important for them to be there. So that was kind of a cool thing that it did. And I would love to know the backstory behind that. I'd love to know if you've got Fred Warners and George Kittles out there and Brock Purdy's out there calling guys up and saying, hey, let's make an effort to be there at the very beginning, April 22nd. Let's make sure we don't miss it. It would be interesting to see if that actually took place, how that played out. I would love to know, but I don't know yet, so we'll have to wait until then. Appreciate all of you guys, and I hope you guys have a fantastic evening.